Hi there, I am Elka Osadnik and I'm the Head of Business Affairs with Delesio Law Group, also known as DLG Law. And this week on our Facebook Live session, for a few minutes, we're going to discuss the DV lottery, otherwise known as the Green Card Lottery to a lot of you out there. So first of all, we get a lot of questions about the DV lottery all the time, and especially from people who need to know how to apply and people who want to know what do they do if they've been selected for further processing. Because when you are selected, i.e. win the lottery, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to automatically be given the green card. There is a process that you still need to go through. And I like to talk about this topic because I myself a number of years ago won the DV lottery, or I was selected for further processing, and I then ended up with my green card. So I've gone through the entire process myself and understand how it works sort of from the inside out. So first things first, when to apply is a big one. Now, I would highly recommend that you put a note in your calendar to go onto the official DV lottery site for the Green Card Lottery to check exactly when the dates are, put a note in your calendar in terms of when to actually schedule yourself to get on board with doing your online application. The problem is that the window when you can actually apply for the DV lottery is quite narrow. So every year it's around sort of October to December, but it's normally a month window within those months, and it can change every year. So it's really important that you stay on top of when that window is going to open for that year that you're currently in, so that you don't miss the window and then you have to wait for the next year to come up for applying for the lottery again, because it's a long time to wait for a year. So I was actually very lucky that the year that I won, not just because I won it, but I actually put the wrong date in my calendar as the date to have as the deadline to have applied online. And I think it was something like 11:30 p.m. at night, and at midnight Pacific time it was closing. And a girlfriend texted me. I was living in LA on a visa at the time, and a girlfriend texted me and said, "Don't forget to put in your lottery when it closes in 30 minutes. And I was lying in bed, and I jumped up and went, "Oh my God, I got the month wrong." Because the year before it was a different month, and silly me had not checked that the dates were still the same and they had moved. So in terms of where to go to actually apply, you can Google it and you'll find a whole lot of information, and a lot of it actually won't be supported by the government. There are a lot of websites on there that talk about how to apply for the green card, but it might be through some third party. And the actual legitimate site for applying for the green card it's www.dvlottery.state.gov, and we'll put that up on our Facebook page for DLG Law if anyone wants to check that out. So you'll know if it's a legitimate site because the actual official site, the DV Lottery state.gov site, it doesn't charge you a cent. If a site is charging you any money at all to apply for the DV lottery, it's not the legitimate site. In saying that, there are some businesses out there that will allow you to pay their money, and they will enter you into the lottery for a number of years in a row to take the thinking out of the process for you. And I know people who have won via those sites, so some of them are legitimate, but if it were me, I would not trust any site unless it was a government site or a secure site that has been recommended, highly recommended by someone else as a secure site to apply through. So be very, very, very careful, because there are actually scams out there. Now, in terms of knowing your eligibility, a lot of people will email or text me and go, "I don't know if I'm eligible for the green card. I'm about to apply. How do I know?" And you know, all I personally do is Google. I Google this information. So again, you'd go on to say the dvlottery.state.gov site, and then you can type in on that page there, eligibility, and it will list all the countries that are eligible for the green card. So that means if you are born in that country, you're eligible to apply for the DV lottery. So for example, I believe that Great Britain, those that are actually born in Great Britain, in the country, are not actually eligible to apply for the lottery, which is a bummer, really, because I have lots of friends that I know would love to apply. And it really does come down to the country you are born in. So if you are born in Great Britain, and then you actually at 6 months old you relocate to Australia, and then you're considered an Australian citizen, and you might hold multiple passports. What they will ultimately look at, even if you are selected as a winner, when it comes to processing, they look at the country you were born in. So you need to be very, very careful, because you could win and then you go on to further processing and they're like, actually, you were ineligible the whole time. So it's really important that you check that list of countries of eligibility every single year, because we never know if a country's going to suddenly become eligible that wasn't eligible the year before. So please do not go by what a friend posts online on some Facebook group page where people are just socially chatting away about topics like the DV lottery. Don't take anything like that as gospel. You want to go and research that information yourself from a trusted site. Get the information, read through the fine print, and then you'll know. I had a very dear girlfriend who just for last year, when she was applying for the DV lottery, I was helping her in person. She was at my house and we were doing the form together just to help her to go through it. It's quite straightforward, but sometimes the very basic yes or no questions can actually be a bit, funnily enough, a bit tricky with how they're worded. They can read in an ambiguous manner. So I was just helping her out with it. And then she said, oh my gosh, I was not born in Australia. And we only had like 40 minutes to get her application in. And so she was like, I don't know if I'm eligible, because I actually was born there, but within like a number of days I moved to Australia. And I was like, and she said, and both of my parents are born in Australia, but it's just that they gave birth to me in England. And so we went, well, let's just quickly research the DV lottery site. And we were Googling and reading and researching and everything. We actually found a clause in there on the state .gov site that actually said if both of her parents are Australian citizens, and there was this window of time that she had relocated to Australia after being born in England, there was this clause that she actually was eligible. So we were like, oh my gosh, we figured it out, and we got the accurate information, and then we were able to put her application in. So my point is, there's a lot of stuff you can figure out for yourself if you just go and read the information, and on those trusted sites you can trust the information. Finally, with processing a DV lottery win, the wisest decision I ever made in my life was hiring an immigration attorney. And I'm not saying this again so anyone uses DLG law, whoever you choose to use to process a win. I found it very, very important in terms of a wise investment, because when I got my paperwork back in terms of the next stage of processing for my DV lottery win, there were, again, some questions, like when you apply for the DV lottery, that they were ambiguous to me. My brain read them as, oh, it could mean that, or it could mean that. And even though it's a simple yes or no, ticking the wrong box can change whether or not you get the green card. And I had this moment where I thought, no way. This is, I have waited 12 years to win this green card, because I won like the 13th year in a row that I applied. Yes, never, ever, ever, ever give up. And then when I went through that form, I just looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh, if I put one wrong check in the wrong box or anything like that, I could absolutely become ineligible straight away. Also, there are very specific windows for responding to the green card lottery win. So if you want to be super efficient and you get in early, you'll be ineligible. If you are a day late, you're ineligible. That means you're denied the green card you just potentially won. So you need to be so careful. And I just had this moment where I thought, this is the one moment in my life to not take my chances with thinking I can be clever and do this myself. So I hired an attorney, and we went through the process together, and I was double checking and triple checking everything the attorney was doing, as I recommend. If it's your case, have a good look over it yourself. And I really made sure that I had them go through the entire process right to the end with me. And that came down to even when I had my interview for, which is the final stage, for receiving my green card, and they helped me with interview prep. Stuff that you would think, like, it's neither here nor there, big deal. I know how to answer questions when you're in the room, but you can get very nervous, you can get very thrown, and to have someone coach you through that is gold, because you say the wrong thing or the right thing in the wrong way, and that's how easy it is to lose your green card. We had an amazing example actually here at DLG Law last year where a lovely director friend of mine contacted me because a friend of hers had won the green card lottery and he had processed it himself. And this particular individual, lovely, lovely gentleman, had been so incredibly efficient with getting all of his paperwork together himself and sending it off for the next stage of processing. And it actually arrived, I think it was like half a day to a day early at the offices where they process the wins. And because of that, they wrote him back a letter and said that your green card has been denied because you haven't applied, you haven't responded in the right time frame because he was a few hours early. So we were just thinking, oh my goodness, what can we do to salvage this? Because, you know, there's been a ruling made. And we put our heads together in here, and our wonderful attorney, Nicholas Morales, who handles a lot of our DV lottery cases and citizenship cases, we really spoke about, you know, could we find a way to respond to his application in the right time frame, because the window for his number was still open. So we did that. And Nicholas did an amazing job at helping this individual, and he, thank goodness, got his green card. So that was like, oh my God, thank God. But he was like, I should have used an attorney all along. And we were just happy that he got his green card, because the stress, you know, to wait so many years to get one and then to, you know, finally have that happen, that's tough. Finally, a lot of people talk online on Facebook and chat rooms about whether or not it's a scam. I have no evidence or seen any evidence to suggest, neither is anyone that I work with or I've heard that have won it, to suggest that it is a scam and it can be rigged in any way, shape or form. For many years when I was applying for the green card, I was back in Australia, and I was actually applying as someone who was working as a human resources and immigration consultant, and therefore working in employment and assisting people. And I thought, in terms of occupation, you only get to put down one job, and I had multiple jobs that were all legitimate. And I felt that that was obviously going to be the smartest answer I could put down, because it looks amazing to the US government that, you know, I could come there and I could help people. And also I was living in Australia at the time, so I'm not over there at the time, and I'm not trying to be or anything like that. So I had that answer in there for years and years and years. When it came up to occupation. And then the year I won was the year that I was on an O1 visa living in LA, and I'd been living here for about a year, and I decided to go, stuff it, I'm just going to put actor, seeing though I'm also an actor. That doesn't look good, but you know what, it's a lottery, so it shouldn't matter. So I put actor, and lo and behold, and I put down that I lived in LA as well, because that's where I was currently residing, and lo and behold, that's when I won. So, you know, a lot of people talk about, but you should put this answer and you should put that answer and everything. I think the year I won, I'd put the worst possible answers in my application, and that's the year that I won. So really, I really believe you win it when the time is right for you. In retrospect, if I'd won it 12 years ago, it would not have been the right time for my life, and my life would have turned out very different to how it has. And I love the life that I have now. And I wouldn't have been probably ready to live permanently in the United States, and had enough of another career behind me to support me financially as well. So I think everything kind of happens for a reason. Yeah, so that's kind of it regarding the DV lottery. If you have any questions at all, reach out to us via our website or our Facebook page, and we'll be online next week at 10 a.m. or 10:05 a.m. Again, to cover our next immigration topic for you.